worried about, like, what is the relationship between the reflectance, transmittance, and then, the radiation absorptivity and emissivity. This is where I believe, like, there is some sort of rawness in your head, because it doesn't come so easily until or unless, you really work hard on the different aspects, different concepts of the radiation, right? So today we are going to fix that matter, that, say, suppose there is a radiation, which is called the irradiation, that is coming on a surface. And on the surface, if it is irradiated, then a part is absorbed and then a part is emitted. And then how exactly a part is absorbed and a part is emitted, and from there, how, and that the remaining part is either reflected or transmitted, how exactly they are mathematically inducted into the calculations of radiation, that will become very, very apparent as we go along with the view factor calculation, right? So first, let us fix our main complicated and very, very those who like mathematics, they generally take up this calculations of view factors of different geometries. Say, suppose a human body receiving a radiation from, say, a kind of heated object. Say, suppose a truck is going in front of you, so which has a complex geometry, and human body also has a complex geometry. How exactly the radiational exchange will take place between these two geometries? So presently that is done in a numerical manner, because the geometrical aspects are very difficult, especially in the 3D domain. It is very difficult to really calculate the geometrical aspects, using analytical tools, because you are unable to solve the geometrical equations. So your equations related to radiation and principles are simple, but then when you try and integrate that to the geometry, then it becomes very difficult. So people have come up with the late 1990s, late 2000th century, 20th century, people have come up with the formula of, like, using numerical methods to do that. So state of art radiation is all done numerically, because it is much easy. You break down, say, suppose you break down a human body into millions of triangles, or break down a human body into millions of rectangles. And from there, you calculate each rectangle, how much is radiating, and how much it is getting irradiated, and how much it is radiating. And from there, you do the integration of all the rectangles that is composing the body, and then getting the overall, what is the amount of radiation it is receiving, that is, what is the amount of irradiation that is coming on the surface, and then what is the amount of radiation it is emitting, and balancing that, you come up with the total capacity of radiation, right? So it's a complex subject. It's a very, 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 very involved subject. Those who likes maths, those who likes physics, they will be very much interested in doing that. But we'll try the way that even those who do not like all these things, they remain interested in what exactly is this. And perhaps in our last two classes, you had really generated interest in the direction of quantum mechanics, in the direction of radiation, especially when we learned about the black body radiation, how exactly at very low wavelength, that intermediate wavelengths, and at high wavelengths, the radiation takes place, and how is they are correlated to their molecular architecture, right? And how exactly you make use of these radiations for materials characterization. Say I differentiate cesium from steel, say from chromium, using these molecular signatures, how exactly they absorb radiation and they emit radiation. That gives us the clue of the molecular signature of these materials, right? Great. So let us get into with this introduction, let us get into the complex subject called the view factor. See, up to this point, whatever we were discussing before this, we were discussing about 2-point masses. My slides are visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So now we are going to really think about, say, we were discussing about, say, there is a differential element dA1, there is a differential element dA2, and how they are radiating between each other. This is what we were discussing. Rather not dA1, we were discussing about how these point masses, even to be very specific, how these point masses, these are interacting with each other in terms of radiation. But now you may understand that, say, suppose, if this is an object, this is a rectangular object, which is at a particular direction. This is another rectangular object, which is at another direction. Now, if some radiation is coming through it, what fraction of that radiation is going to arrive here? Say, suppose this is radiating something, this is emitting something, say, suppose X. Now, this will come here. Now, this may it may do, at this stage, we are not at all considering the transmittivity. We are considering this to be fully opaque surface. Of course, transmittivity will add, another level of complexity, which we will take care at the end of this, of maybe tomorrow's lecture. But for the time being, I consider this to be completely opaque surface. But even if it is opaque surface, it is going to reflect. So a part of radiation that is coming out of this surface, hitting this surface, will not entirely be absorbed by this particular surface if it is not a black body. Okay? If it is a black body, it is going to be absorbing everything and it will be emitting something. Correct? But if it is not a black body, it is not going to be absorbing everything. More importantly, even if it is a black body, it may reflect some part of it. Right? So, sorry, if it is a purely black body, it is not going to reflect, right? But if it is not a pure black body, then it is going to reflect a part of it. Okay? But now, since this particular object, cannot see face to face. Say, suppose I put two objects which are like, this, and suppose this, they are facing each other completely. This is an infinite surface. This is an infinite surface. They are facing each other completely. So this is a different situation than the situation which is here, where you have two surfaces which is at a particular angle. Now, moments there is some incident radiation, that a part of that radiation will be arriving towards this. Okay, and a part of the radiation will be arriving towards that, right? So that makes the entire radiation process a little bit more complicated, and you need to really bring in one factor into this, which is called the radiation shape factor or Q factor. Okay, so what is a radiation shape factor or a Q factor? So I define the factor is F12. When fraction of energy leaving surface 1, that reaches surface 2. Whatever fraction of energy that is leaving 1 reaches surface 2. This is F12. And I define F21 as whatever is the fraction of energy leaving this surface and coming to this. So I define a very common terminology which is called Fij. So fraction of leaving surface energy leaving surface I, and that reaches surface J. This is I define as Ij, Fij. Okay. The other names for radiation shape factors are view factors, angle factors, and configuration. Right? These are names. So how do I go about that? So I say that this my emissive power, I consider this surface to be a black body. I say that the emissive power means it has absorbed some radiation and now it is emitting. It is a black body. So it is emitting whatever it has absorbed. That is energy per unit area per unit time. Emissive power is defined as energy per unit area per unit time. Correct? Now that I multiply with area. So this combined becomes energy per unit time. And then I multiply the factor 1 and 2 because a part of this radiation is going from here to here. So this surface, so this is 1. So this surface is giving this much amount of energy into this surface because it is not all the fractions that are going due to the angle difference. It is only a part that is going. Whereas this surface is giving back, you can see this is EB2 into A2 into F21. Right? So if I really want to calculate what is the net energy exchange, that is Q12 is equal to EB1 A1 F12 minus EB2 A2 F21. Okay, so this is the net energy exchange between these two surfaces. Right? Now, if both the surfaces are at the same temperature, if both the surfaces, now I am using asymptotic limit. Sorry. So if these two are at same temperature, so I can expect that the heat exchange will be 0 because they are at same temperature. So I consider this to be EB1 is equal to EB2. That gives me a very interesting analogy that A1 F21, A1 F12 is equal to A2 F21. So I generate this type of identities associated with the view factors, which I make use of in this expression of Q12 to come up with very, very simple correlations that Q12 is nothing but A2F21 EB1 minus EB2. So this is the way I will be able to really calculate what is a net heat exchange between these two surfaces. Right? Is the simplest situation that we are starting with. Now, let us look at, say, suppose, you will not have always parallel plates. Okay. So most of the geometries, say, suppose, what are the typical heat exchanger geometries that you arrive at? Say, suppose in a heat exchanger, you arrive this sort of geometry. In parallel plates, you arrive this sort of geometry. So you have to really take into account the more complicated geometries. So how do you go about that? So how do we go about that? So first, what I consider, so here you may see that this is my area A. In that, I consider a differential area that is dA1. The area is A1, dA1, and then I draw a normal to that. Sorry. Then I have the area A2, where I consider a fraction of area dA2, right? And then I consider a kind of normal there. Now, what I do, I join the center points of these two areas with a vector called R. And I assume that this R is making an angle phi2 with the normal to this area, whereas this R is making a angle phi1 with the normal to this area. Okay, is it clear? Any doubt here up to this point? Right? Great. So now I consider this area A1 and I make a 2D representation. Say this is dA1 and this is my normal. This is my area 1. I'm looking from side. And then this is the R vector that is going towards A2. Okay. So in that situation, and this angle is phi. This I have defined in the previous picture. So I am making a simplified representation. So in that, if I draw a line which is perpendicular to this radiation, so I'm just drawing a line which is perpendicular to this radiation. So what happens? So this angle is phi. I'm sure this angle is phi. Now, if I draw a triangle here, so if this angle, this angle is phi, right? If I draw a triangle here, if this angle is phi, then I can very easily know that this angle is what? If this angle is phi, how much is this angle? Can anybody tell me? What is the value of this angle? Yeah, let me just draw it. It will become much easier for you. So if this angle becomes phi1, right? What is the value of this angle? Can anybody tell me?
90 minus 5.
Easy. This is 90 minus 5. Now, what is this angle? What is this angle? This particular angle? How much is that? 90. So what will be this angle?
5-1.
5-1, right? So now I can say that this particular line, which is perpendicular to this radiation, that we can say that this is dA cos phi, dA1 cos phi1. Is it clear? Because this is phi, because this is phi1. So this can be this line, this particular line can be dA1 cos phi1. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right? Yeah. Now, if that is the case, then what I do, I say that, so I know that this is my area component, which is perpendicular, correct? Now, I say that the energy leaving dA1, the energy that is leaving dA1 in the direction given by angle phi1, in the direction given by angle phi1, right? I say that IB into dA1 into cos phi, where IB is the blackbody intensity. So this is the total amount of radiation that is moving towards dA2, right? Now, the radiation that is arriving in some element area dA, which is dA2, I am going to consider this. What is the amount of radiation that is arriving? First is this into what? Say this much amount of area is arriving in an entity called dA2 cos phi, right? So how much will be arriving? The arrival will be dAn by r square, right? This I have given you the derivation. This dAn by r square is the dN is the constructed normal vector, and the quantity dN by r square represent the solid angle subtended by the area dA. So if you consider this is the area dA2, which is dAn, there is an amount of irradiation, amount of emission that is happening through this surface, and amount of irradiation is taking place on this surface, right? So what will be the amount? That is IB into dA1 cos phi, which we have just calculated, into dAn by r square. This is the differential amount that is being that is reaching the inner surface. Okay. Now the quantity dN by r square represents the solid angle subtended by the area. Right. I'm going to come back to this parameter once again. Now, what is this dN? What I do, I assume this to be a, see, around this particular point of this other surface, I around this to be a spherical coordinate, at a spherical coordinate. Okay. And then what I do, I try and calculate on this spherical coordinate on the surface of this sphere, any arbitrary sphere, what is the total area through which this R is going? Okay, so what is the total area through which this R is going? So this is my X, Y, Z coordinate, and I have assumed this sphere, right? And in that sphere, I know that, you know, this is my R. This is the domain where this is my connection to R, correct? Now, if I am projecting, this is my phi coordinate, this is my theta coordinate. R is making an angle. See, this is my R. Sorry, this is my angle. This is the radius R. So R is making an angle theta. Now, when you project R here, what is the length of this? Can anybody tell me? What is the length of this? If I project it towards the surface, okay. So what will be the radius of this? What will be the length of this? R sin theta, right? This is, you know, this is R cos theta, correct? If this is R cos theta. So this one will be R sin theta, right? So it's very easy. This is R sin theta. Now, if I draw a rectangular parallelepiped, so this is R sin theta. This will also be R sin theta. So I'm trying to now get all the numbers around this differential volume element. So it is very easy. This angle is phi, and I have taken this angle to be a little bit, you know, for this differential volume element, it is d phi. For theta, it is d theta. For R, it is dr. So these are the three sweeps I have made in the differential volume from R theta phi in order to generate this volume. Now, in that, this length is R sin theta, this length is R sin theta, this part is d phi. Okay. Now, what is this part? How much will be this part then? This is R sin theta, and this is d phi. So this will be R sin theta into d phi. Correct. Now this is R sin theta, this is dr, right? So this part is, you know, that this part is dr. Now then what I will try to calculate, the different surfaces. Correct. What are the different surfaces? My job is to calculate the surface area which is lying here, the surface area which is lying here. Correct. So how do I go about that? So you can see that there are two calculations that are done. That is three calculations that are done. What is the surface area in the phi direction? What is the surface area in the r direction? And what is the surface area in the theta direction, right? And these three surface areas, what you do, the points that are showing, in those points, you are calculating the surface area. How do I calculate DSR? DSR, I calculate that r d theta is one of the arms. This arm is r d theta, okay? And this arm is r sin theta d phi. If I multiply these two, I get what? DSR, which is r square sin theta d phi, d theta d phi. So essentially, you will find here we have taken dN is equal to r square sin phi d psi d phi. Instead of theta, we have taken, instead of, I think, you know, phi, we have taken psi, and theta is represented by phi. So dAn can be represented in the spherical coordinate system as r square sin phi d psi d phi. It's a very generic representation. So what you do, you first replace this dAn with this expression just by enforcing the spherical coordinate system, and then you integrate over, say, 0 to 2 pi in terms of the psi, and 0 to pi by 2 for phi. And then if you integrate over it, you get EB is equal to pi into IB. So for a spherical coordinate system, say, why am I doing that? The radiation is going like that, and it can go in all the direction. That is the reason the spherical coordinate is brought in. And if I accumulate all the irradiations that are coming all around that particular point, that EB is pi into IB. So IB can be replaced by EB by pi. Okay, and DAN we already know from the previous derivation, cos phi 2 dA2. So what is Q12? What is the exchange? You know, EB1 cos phi 1 cos phi 2 dA1 by dA2 pi r square, and DQ1 is EB2 cos phi 2 cos phi 1 dA1 dA2 divided by pi r square. So one is 1 to 2, how much heat is transferred, how much differential energy is leaving, and the other is what is coming 2 to 1. So net, if I just take a subtraction of this, so this is the total energy exchange between 1 and 2 area, which you can see I have written here. You know, this is the total net heat exchange between the two surfaces in the form of radiation. Okay, up to this point, if you have understood, you know, about like, you know, 80% of view factor, right? And I have also given you the derivation that, you know, this I have done just by the simple differential arguments, but here I have done it more in a more comprehensive manner, that I have defined this R to be a vector. This we have done actually in the vector tensor. That's why I'm just, you know, telling you that this is the way we define dr. And then we have defined this, you know, in the one of the previous lectures, that how R vector, theta vector, and phi vectors are calculated. And from there, you know, we reconstructed the rotation matrix. Okay, and from there we defined the differential dr. These are the position vectors that we have defined. And then from there, if you define the R vector to be like this, so you calculate dr by d theta, dr by d phi, and then from there, you know, you can calculate the dsr, which is the area in the R direction, that will come out to be R square sine theta d phi. This is standard derivation. So surface element spanning theta to theta plus d theta, and phi to phi plus d phi. That is what you are looking for, R through which all the radiation energies are going. And d sigma, the solid angle, the differential solid angle d sigma is ds by r square, which is the basis of which is the basis what we have taken. This is what DAN by r square we have taken, which is the d sigma, through which it is going, right? This is the d sigma through which it is arriving. So dA1 cos phi is leaving, and into d sigma is the element that is arriving here. So that's the reason why it is taken dA by r square. So typically it is the other surface. What is the solid angle through which it is arriving? So this is the most comprehensive, you know, formula. This is the most comprehensive formula. Now, for any complicated geometrical surface, if you can numerically, you know, calculate this, that will be the most accurate. Because for complicated geometry, say suppose if you have an aircraft and which is receiving solar irradiation, since the geometry of aircraft is very complicated, you may not have a straightforward analytical solution. So you have to solve that numerically. However, for simple surfaces, you have a very easy solution that can be coming. I'm taking a little bit complicated than a simple surface. What is that? I have a dA1 surface, small disk, and I have another big disk. And in that disk, I'm trying to calculate what is the view factor between this small disk. What is the view factor between this small disk and the disk that is running here, this shell disk, right? So what should be my view factor calculation? So what I will do, I will straight away start with the formula that I have just derived. Right now, why cos phi 1 square? You know that this phi 1 is equal to phi 2. So I put a point here. With this is my 2, this is my 1. This is phi 1. I know phi 1 equal to phi 2. So straight away this become cos phi 1 square. And then if I calculate dA2, it becomes 2 pi x dx. This is 2 pi x into dx divided by pi r square. This is coming straight away from this formula. You know, if I'm just, you know, placing everything together, you know, simplifying this geometry, it is coming like this. Now r, we know that this r is equal to nothing but this is root over of r square plus x square, right? I replace it there. And then what I do, if I perform an integration, I get f dA1 to A2. This is my A2 and this is dA1. I get a very simple relation, d square by 4r square plus d square. but where R and D are defined. This is the geometrical aspect you have already defined here. Now, if I plot F12 to ratio D by X, so you may see that it is like this. When the D by X ratio is very small, right? So the X is what? X is this. You have already defined X is this, and this is your D. When the X by D ratio is very small, that means D is very small and X is, say, suppose for a given X, D is very small when the diameter is very small. So you may see that the view factor is small, but as D is increasing, it becomes a semi-infinite surface. You may receive all the radiation, so it may go up to towards 1. Right? Whereas in case of very small, you may see that this is unable to see this. Whereas if it is very big, so this will be able to see the whole factor, so it will go up to 0.9. Right? So in that process, say parallel of equal rectangles, parallel equal coaxial discs. So people have come up with numerous view factor equations, which we need not really memorize. It is there in the literature. We have to pick up a news. Okay, for a given situation, but enormous amount of literature is created for the geometries where I really require. Okay, say suppose you have sun, you have earth. Okay, this sort of geometries, we have developed different types of equations, analytical equations, and using which you can really calculate the required shape vectors. Suppose this is for the parallel plate. Okay, so you define the parallel plates to be, this is the aspect ratio y by x, and this is the distance. And you plot view factor in terms of this is the ratio x by d, and this is the ratio y by d, right? And then these plots are available. Not only the equation, the plots are also available. I just give you one example. Say two parallel black plates, how the calculations are done in radiation. Say two parallel black plates, 0.5 by 1 meter are spaced 0.5 meter apart. So your aspect ratio is 0.5 by 1 meter, and the space is 0.5 meter apart, right? One plate is maintained at 1000 degree and the other plate is maintained at 50 degrees. So you have two parallel plates like this. You have two parallel plates like this. One is 0.5 and one is 1. And the distance is how much? Distance is given to be about 0.5 meter, right? And one plate is 1000, the other plate is 500. What is the net radiant heat exchange between the two plates? So what should I do? I will go to that plot and first I will calculate what is y by d, that is 1. What is x by d, that is 2. Okay. So I go to this plot. What is my x by d, that is 2, right? And what is my y by d, that is 1. So where is 1? It is here. So 2 to 1, I have to go here and it is coming out to be about, say, suppose 0.28. So hopefully, I will get about, you see, F12 is about 0.285. So what is my net heat exchanger? A1, F12, EB1 minus EB2. Now this will follow the Stefan-Boltzmann law that we have already derived. Sigma T1 to the power 4, sigma T2 to the power 4. What is the view factor? View factor is 0.285. If I plug in all the numbers, area I already know. What is A1 I already know, right? And from there I get what is the net heat exchange that is happening due to the radiative heat transfer, right? So this becomes more or less straightforward for you, although the background is a bit complicated in terms of the derivations, and from there a lot of formula and all can be derived. But over a period of time, research of about 100 years have established enough literature. This is a parallel plate. These are the two perpendicular plates. The geometrical factors are decided, and from there, the calculations are made. Okay. So this is a radiation shape factor between perpendicular rectangles with a common edge. Okay. So this is a kind of between two concentric cylinders. This is between two discs. So you just have to consult, and all these parameters are given. This is a L by R1 ratio, and this is R2 by L. So you have to just calculate, and from there you have to carefully obtain the view factor. Right. So here you may see F21 is given, right? F21 and F12. You have to get those. Correct. Now, once you are done with that, then you have to calculate the net heat exchange, the emissivity, the radiation, and so on and so forth. We are going to do a lot of tutorial problems on Friday, and you will see this will become a little bit straightforward once we are able to really see the problems that we are doing, how at the practical level we are using it. It will be much simpler than the background theory, which is more complicated and rather like more state of art. Like, you require a lot of intensity in order to understand the background. Any questions up to this point? You have any questions up to this point? Any question up to this point? Understood? Everything is clear? No questions? Great. So if there is no question, so now you may see that when we went for this derivation, when we went for this asymptotic limits, so EB1 equal to EB2, immediately we could find out A1 F12 is equal to A2 F21. Now, if this is the case, what I can do, I can replace this A2 F21 with A1 F12, and then I can take a common and then make, so 1, 2 becomes A1 F12 EB2 minus E1. So these are called different view factor analogies, which are obtained within the asymptotic limits. Like say, suppose if heat transfer is different, if temperature is equal, so you prepare this sort of analogies. Okay. Now, when you prepare this sort of analogies, you can really extend this sort of analogies to different types of shape factor relations. Like say, suppose f of 3, 2, 1, and 2. If there are 3 surfaces, 1, 2, 3, right? So what is that? Some useful relations may be obtained considering the system. Suppose that the shape factor between radiation between 3 to the combined area A12 is desired. The shape factor must be given very simply as 3,1 to 2 is 3,1 plus 3,2. Okay, A3 F312, A3 F31, A3 F32. So this sort of view factor correlations are available, which are derived like the way that we have done previously, and that can be used to simplify these calculations, which you have to do very smartly. There are numerous such relationships you need not remember. It is just about like enforcing those simple logics, and from there you can obtain these correlations, or you can just use it for which particular system there will be a library available. You can make use of them. So these are shape factor relations. Different shape factor relations are given. Just go through them. Right? You see that as the things are becoming complicated, this is more numerical part coming in. So these are like, in programming language you can embed, and then from there you can calculate. Just I am giving you the hint, like how things are done now. Say suppose this is the kind of house where like you are putting up a HVAC system. Maybe this is receiving a solar irradiation, right? So these sort of calculations, you can make and break into numerous unit elements, and from there you can go for it. Right. Now, since you have understood the view factor, usage of the view factor, which we are going to do, you have to understand two very important factors, two very important terminologies. One is called the irradiation. Okay. What is an irradiation? See, when I radiate something on a surface, the irradiation is defined as total irradiation incident upon a surface per unit time per unit area. Total radiation incident upon a surface per unit time per unit area. This is the irradiation. Okay. So if you have turned on something, if you have turned on a light, whatever amount of radiation that is arriving a surface is called irradiation. And what is radiosity? Radiosity of a surface, total radiation that leaves the surface per unit time per unit area. So on a surface, I have told you that this is other than the reflectivity, this is other than the transmittivity. This has to do with the absorption, this has to do with the emission, right? Now, whatever is coming as an irradiation to a surface, right? So what you do, you say radiosity that you define is the emissivity of the black body And the reflectivity, see, whatever radiosity, total radiation that leaves a surface, total radiation that leaves a surface, J, the total radiation that is leaving the surface, what is that? Once the surface that is emitting and the surface that is getting reflected, right? This is where you see the reflection part is taken care of. By the way, in this situation, I am not considering the transmittivity. Okay, so here somewhere it is written energy leave. See, as shown in figure 8.24, which is not there here, it is in your book. The radiosity is the sum of the energy that is emitted and the energy reflected when no energy is transmitted. So if you want to add transmission, you have to add another term here, which will come later, how to tackle the transmittivity. So earlier we were considering for a surface, the radiosity was only emissivity. Here you see, we have made a smart move to consider the reflectivity. Why? Because the other surface that is receiving, when you are considering the view factor, the other surface which is receiving the irradiation, that will have the reflection part associated. A highly reflective surface will absorb less. You know, if you are looking at the realistically, a highly reflective surface will absorb less and will also reflect some. So whatever radiosity is the total radiation that leaves the surface area and time. So for a black body, this will be epsilon b. And then what you do, you add the reflectivity of the material to calculate the total radiosity of the surface. Right? And you know that rho reflectivity is equal to 1 minus alpha. For a black body, 1 minus alpha equal to 1 minus epsilon. So if you enforce this here, so you get J is equal to epsilon b into 1 minus epsilon into G. So you can write the entire radiosity equation. So this is the part that is emitted and this is the part that is reflected. When I assume the transmittivity to be 0, we'll see, like, you know, how to accommodate the transmittivity. So what is the picture that is emerging? So G is the irradiation that is coming from somewhere. I don't worry about that. I just only worry about the view factor here, that we are going to take something somewhat later. Now, once it is coming, it is absorbing a part. This particular surface is absorbing a part, and this particular surface is a reflecting a part. So the total I consider to be the radiosity of the surface. I define that as a J. What is being emitted is epsilon b for a black body, and what is being reflected, that is defined as rho into G. Right? So EB is the black body, J is the radiosity, and then what will decide, you can again do a circuit diagram, that Q is the heat energy that is coming to the black body. Okay, so what is my rate of heat transfer? Rate of heat transfer is J minus G, whatever is going, whatever is coming, whatever is going in between that is what is the net energy leaving the surface, is the difference between the radiosity and the irradiation. Okay, the net energy that is leaving, how much I have absorbed and how much I have received and how much I have given. If I take that, if I replace the equation of this, okay, here I get what? I get something like this. If I rearrange this equation becomes Q equal to EB minus J divided by 1 minus epsilon by epsilon A. So this is my driving force. This is my driving force, EB minus J. Okay, and this is the denominator is 1 minus epsilon by epsilon A becomes the resistance. So you see that again, like Fourier law, like Newton law of cooling or radiation, you know, for non-black bodies, I have come up with what? For a black body is what? For a black body, what is the difference? Can anybody tell me in this situation what will happen to a black body? Quickly. Batao. For a black body, what will happen here?
The emissivity equal to 1, therefore Q is equal to.
No, which is in this equation, what will be the modification for a black body? What will happen to this rho for a black body?
No reflection.
Yes. So rho and G will be 0. So radiosity of a black body will be J into epsilon. J into epsilon, J is equal to epsilon into E. This will be only for a black body. But for a non-black body, you have to consider the reflectivity as well as the trans. What is a black body? Whatever you irradiate, it is going to absorb everything. But what is a non-black body? It is going to reflect a part, it is going to transmit a part, okay, and it is going to absorb a part. So using the energy of the black body, I'm assuming that this is as good as, EB is the energy of the black body. This particular surface is as good as absorbing a part of the, as a black body absorbing a part, but as a non-black body reflecting a part. Okay, and in that, what is the heat transfer? So heat transfer Q by A is equal to J minus J. And that J I have defined, I have evaluated this equation to be J. I replace it back here. And then if I go for a kind of rearrangement, I get EB minus J is my driving force. And then 1 minus epsilon by epsilon A is the resistance. Why it is the resistance? Because it depends on the material. Emissivity depends on the material, right? So you can again go for a kind of circuit diagram for this sort of surfaces where you have amount of irradiation coming in, and that irradiation, a part is absorbed, okay, and that part is emitted, absorbed and emitted like a black body, whereas J is the total radiosity of the surface. Great. Now, if that is the case, then say suppose net interchange. When we go for the net interchange, say suppose you have two surfaces A1 and A2. What is Q12? So J1 A1, J1 is the radiosity, A1 is the area F12 minus. So this is giving me J1 A1 F12 Q122, and what this is giving me back, that is J2 A2 F1. So that is minus. And from the analogy of A1 F1 to A2 F21, if I enforce it here, what I will get, Q12 will be equal to J1 minus J2 divided by 1 by A1 F12. Okay, so this is Q12. Similarly, I can calculate Q21, and from there I can calculate the Q net. Now in Q net, you may find, if you go for a Q net, you will find that it will become EB1 minus EB2 divided by these factors, which are all physical properties. And again, this is the driving force, and this is the resistance. So how do I really put up a circuit diagram? EB1 is the energy, that is emissive power of A. Then I have a resistance of that particular material. It is coming out to be J, right? Then it has a view factor, resistance in terms of view factor. It is not able to see everything. So this is the resistance due to the view factor, right? And this is the resistance because of the material too. So you may see that once you have this, you have J1 coming out. Now J1, because of the view factor, it is getting converted to J2, and then J2, because absorbed by the second material, it is coming out to be this. So you have a total resistance of this. Now EB1 and EB2 can be easily converted into the sigma into T1 to the power 4 minus T2 to the power 4 using the Stefan-Boltzmann law. Now you can see between two arbitrary surfaces, considering all the view factors and all everything, you can calculate the net heat transfer. What is that? Sigma T1 to the power 4, T2 to the power 4 divided by, these are the physical properties and the view factors areas that are included. The heat exchange between the body 1 and the body 2. Okay. Now you can see that these are all parameters. Temperature you can measure. For one surface you can measure. Boltzmann constant you already know. Area you can measure. View factor already tables are available. Epsilon 1, epsilon 2 will be available in the literature. So you can really calculate what is the net heat exchange between the two surfaces. Right. Similarly, you can have different types of circuit diagrams. Like say suppose here in this situation we were considering this medium to be vacuum, right? This medium is not absorbing anything, but that is not the case. Between, say suppose if you have two surfaces, suppose there is air in the middle, so that air is going to also absorb some of the radiations, right? So now you may see that radiation network for two surfaces that see each other and nothing else is something like this, which we have just derived. Now radiation network for three surfaces that see each other and nothing else. right? So how is it going? So for each and every surface, you may see that these are the three surfaces, right? So suppose you are putting three plates, 1, 2, 3. They only see each other and nothing else, right? So for each one of them, you may see that there is a resistance, right? And then you may see that between J1 and J2, say this one able to see this one. So you have it has a resistance. This one is able to see this one. So it has a view factor resistance, and this one is able to see this one. So all three can see each other. So there are these three resistances, but once it is observing this and this, it is unable to observe this one, right? So these three are independent of each other, right? So in that way, you enforce this view factor. So radiation network for two plane or convex surface enclosed by a third surface, it comes out to be like this. So different types of surfaces are networked into this sort of circuit diagrams, and it becomes absolutely simple. You will see in the tutorials we will have some problems where we will take very complex geometries and we will make very smart assumptions in order to really develop the circuit diagrams and calculate. Now once you have the circuit diagram, you know that parallel and parallel resistances and series resistances, those formula that you will be enforcing in order to get the resistance, and the driving force need to be calculated, and from there you calculate the net heat exchange, right? Say suppose you have two geometries. This is at 500, this is at 100, right? And this room is at 27 degrees centigrade. So what is EB1? Sigma to the T to the power 4, and then you have the resistance you have calculated based on the emissivity of this, right? And then you have 2, which is 2. This is the 2, right? And then you have the EB2, that is sigma T2 to the power 4, and then there is this 1 minus epsilon. This part is there, that 1 minus epsilon by epsilon A1. So this is also there, 1 minus epsilon, that is there, right? Now this air that is there at a temperature, this is at 1000, this is at 500, this is at 27 degree, right? And then it has a temperature of T to the power 3. Now here you see we don't put the resistance associated with that, because this particular surface is fully transparent, right? Here you may see that whatever is coming, it is a part being absorbed, which we take care in EB3, right? And then this can see this can see this, and this can also see this. So in that process, we put the view factor resistances here, which is 1 by A1 F12, 1 by A2 F2, 1 by A1 F12, 1 by A1 F13, and 1 by A2 F23. So those resistances we put in, and then if we can just combine all three together, in terms of resistances, we are able to calculate the net heat exchange between substrates like this, the substrates like that, which are looking at, say, suppose perpendicular to each other. So this is at room temperature 3. So you may see that now slowly things are becoming a little bit more complicated, that you have a room, you have an insulated surface, right? And you have a normal surface. So this sort of complications you enforce, and then you develop this sort of networks, right? Now, infinite parallel plates, you may asymptotically see this will be the relationship sigma T1 to the power 4, T2 to the power 4 divided by infinite, means all view factor related. So you can really imagine that any view factor related thing will become what? So A is infinite, means those things will become 0, and from there you can simply have the equations like this. Okay, very long two cylinders will have an equation like this when the view factor is equal to 1. So you can see different types of formula are available for different types of geometries. These are simple geometries where analytical formulas have been calculated, as I have shown previously, right? But then, in case of different types of networks, you have to really come up with the configurations wherein you make sure that things are developed, the circuit diagrams are developed that are accurate, and once you develop the circuit diagrams, you just calculate the driving force at the top, and at the bottom you calculate the resistance, and from there you evaluate what is the net heat transfer. Yeah, any question up to this point? Any question up to this point? Is it clear? Any doubt? Any doubt up to this point? Any question you have? क्या हुआ? कोई सवाल नहीं है? People have understood.
No, sir.
No questions. It's clear.
No, not clear.
हाँ, so क्या क्लियर नहीं है बताइए? कौन सा जगह क्लियर नहीं हुआ? क्या क्लियर नहीं हुआ बताइए? This is clear. Up to this point, is it clear? This part is clear or not first?
Yes, sir, this is clear.
Now this part is
No, sir.
right. So what we are planning here? What we are planning to do here? What exactly we want? Q12. That means what is the, say suppose there is an area A1. Okay. And then there is an area A2. Right. And I want to know, because of radiation only, what is the net heat transfer between these two? Okay. So if that is the case, then it is very simple to know. See, one of them is giving J1, A1, F1 to what is J1? J1 is what is coming out of A1. What is A1? A1 is the area of this one. F12 is what is this one sees to this. That is F12. F12 is the view factor, right? Minus J2. J2 is this is coming out of this. A2 is the area of this, and F21 is how this surface sees this one. So this is the net heat exchange, correct? So if I just simplify this, so what will be that? So I can write that J1, J2 is my driving force, and divided by what? 1 by A F12, A1 F12, which is the view factor, that is the resistance. If I am not able to see you, the resistance is full. If I am able to see fully, I am able to see you fully, then the resistance is 0.
Yes, sir.
Correct? So whenever two surfaces are there, they will have a view factor related resistance between them based on their radiosity difference. So this is the view factor part. Correct? So what am I doing now? I'm not now doing what? Q12 is J1, A1, F12, J2, A2, F21. And then here I am using the analogy that A1, F12 is A2, F21. This I have proved previously. Now, if I put that into that,
Yes,
I may get Q12 equal to J1 minus J2 by 1 by A1 F12. So this is my driving force. This is the radiational energy exchange is happening between the plates divided by the resistance. I'm just rearranging this equation. That's it. So this is the driving force and this is the resistance. So immediately what I do, I calculate, I translate this to a circuit diagram that these are the 2 points. J1 is the radiation coming from this. J2 is the radiation coming back from this. That means the net is J2 minus J1 divided by 1 by A1 F12. Is that clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
This is only related to the view factor. Right? Now, apart from view factor, that means whatever is coming out here, whatever is going out here, right? Now, apart from that, say what is coming out of it. If you really look at, there is one epsilon EB part associated with that. See, there are two parts. One is epsilon EB and one is with the J part. Right? There are two parts associated with. One is J has two parts. One is the emissivity and one is the reflectivity. So here I have taken care of the J part. Correct? Now, if I bring in the black body part into it, if I replace this part in the form of the black body, so the total radiation will be what? Total resistance will be what? This particular surface, say suppose if it is giving me J1, but it is also emitting epsilon EB there. That means epsilon 1 E1. And this surface is giving back epsilon 2 E2, right? So if you bring in those resistances here, so this particular part is coming because of the absorption and emission of this particular surface. This part is coming because of the absorption and emission of this particular surface. And then there is this radiation is because of the view factor, you have this resistance. If you sum all three of them, the Q net will become what? The Q net will become EB1 minus EB2 divided by the total resistance. And that, if you put a Stefan-Boltzmann law, you get a simplified equation. Now this you can convert into a circuit diagram like this, where EB1, you are starting from here. This is the surface. The emissive power of this is EB1. Because of the absorption and emission, you have the resistance, which is 1 minus epsilon by epsilon 1 A1. Okay. Then you have a surface A2, EB2, which has an emissive power of EB2, which has a resistance due to absorption and emission, which is 1 minus epsilon 2 by A2. Now, at this level, this is A2. At this level, this is A1. And then they see each other. Because of the view factor, you have another resistance, which is 1 by A1 F12. And that is at the level of J1 and J2. I put another resistance. So if I add all these three, you will see the denominator will come. Okay. And if I take the difference between this, I will get the numerator. And numerator, if I employ the Stefan-Boltzmann law, I'm able to calculate. So what is the energy difference and what is the resistance? That gives me the net heat transfer. Is it clear now? I need some answer, no? Yes or no? To understand that whether it is clear or not. क्या हुआ? कुछ आंसर नहीं है? Niru, is it clear? Partly?
Yes.
Yeah. So it will become much clearer as we take up more examples. So maybe next class I will take a few more examples for you to make sure that it becomes much clearer. A few more discussions are necessary, right? So, and then I think, things will be, I will put up some more examples, some simpler examples, some more involving calculations. And then from there, things will be much easier. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So I stop here today. So, and we meet tomorrow at 12 noon once again. Okay. Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Sir, can you also, if possible, can you share that 2-7 solution, 2-7 and 8, like written solution?
Tanushri, can you please share the solutions? Yeah, we'll share. Okay. The solutions. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And 31st, 30 and 31st, we have quiz, right? And up to tomorrow, whatever I teach, that is the syllabus. So after midsem, to all of you, okay? Post midsem, whatever I have taught until 26th of October will be your syllabus for the quiz 30-31. Okay, all the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.